Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. I am Lina Susanti. Today, I would like to presentation about language in situation, language, and gender. The first is about language in situation. Language varies comes from one social group to another social group, from one situation to another situation, and from one place to another place. Variation sounds that every speaker does not speak the same way all the time. According to Finnegan 2008, said that language varieties indicate that the speakers are distinct from members of other groups. Here are relatedness between language and society. There are 4. The first, language is principally used to communicate and maintain social relationships. Second, users of the same language all speak differently. The kind of language each of them chooses to use is in part determined by his social background. Third, to some extent, language, especially the structure of its lexicon, reflects both the physical and the social environment of society. Fourth, as a social phenomenon, language is closely related to the structure of the society in which it is used, and the evaluation of a linguistic form is entirely social. Next is about language and gender. Gender is a range of characteristics used to distinguish between males and females, particularly in the cases of men and women, and the masculine and feminine attributes assigned to them. And language and gender itself is an area of study within sociolinguistics, applied linguistics, and related fields that investigates varieties of speech associated with a particular gender or social norms for such gendered language use. There are many differences between men's language and women's language. We can see from 7 classifications. Language and gender consists of minimal response, question, turn-taking, changing the topic conversation, self-disclosure, verbal aggression, and politeness. The first is minimal response. Minimal response is one of the ways in which the communicate behavior of men and women differ. And for women has response frequently when they have a conversation. For example, paralinguistic features such as and yeah, which is behavior associated with collaborative language use. And for men has response less than women when they have a conversation. Generally use and yeah less frequently. And the second is about question. Men and women differ in their use of question in conversations. Men's language is heard as clearly their dullness, as lack of effort, competitiveness, as independence, as competence, as hierarchy, as control, and men usually as something to the point that they weren't with women. Women use questions more frequently. They usually use question tag to avoid making strong statements, to reflect their conservatism, to prestige consciousness, to upward mobility, to insecurity, to difference, to nurturance, to emotional expressivity, to connectedness, to sensitivity to others. And women usually do not to the point when they want to ask something that very different with men. And the third is about turn taking. Turn taking gives rises to complex forms of interaction in relation to the more regimented form of turn taking. And the difference between women are and men are for women are more likely to encourage turn taking in a conversation, and men are more focused on their own points of view. The fourth is about changing the topic of conversation. This difference may well be at the root of the conception that women chatter and talk too much, and may still sparkle the same thinking in some males. In this way, lower estimation of women may arise. Here are women's topic. They are talking about gossip, men, shopping, child rearing, and relationship. And for men's topic, they are talking about farm, sport, women, politics, and cars. The fifth is about self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is the process was originally as telling others about the self. There are the difference between women and men. For women, maybe usually sharing their problems and experiences with others, often to offer sympathy, and they usually ask their friend about their problems. And for men, male tendencies to non-self-disclosure and professing advice or offering a solution when confronted with another's problems, because men usually solve their problem themselves. And the sixth is about verbal aggression. The difference between women and men are for women engaged, engaged in cross or angry talk, which is typically characterized by vituperative and brazen display and insults and shouting. For men, tend to be more overtly and physically aggressive. The last is about politeness. Politeness is the best expressed as practical application of good manner or etiquette. According to Lakoff, 1975, he identified three forms of politeness. They are formal, deference, and camaraderie. Formal politeness, generally accepted formal standards, usually denote professionalism. and indifference politeness is the condition of submitting to the exposed legitimate influence of superiors. And camaraderie is goodwill and lighterhood between or among friends. It is usually used when speak with our friends. And for women's language is characterized by formal and indifference politeness. But man language is characterized by camaraderie. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. The last I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.